Coping with deaths from COVID-19. Ugh. Okay, Jesus, we're gonna walk this one really slow. Welcome everybody. I'm Dr. Venus, your hot mess millionaire. And before I go in deep, just want to make sure you know to join me over in the Hot Mess Millionaire Facebook group, is where I'll be doing a lot of my business training. Um, and I just want to make sure it's here in the notes. I want to make sure I do that so I don't forget it once I start, because I'm probably going to forget it. And let me see where I want to be. Okay. And what else do I want to say? Oh, please make sure you share, tag, post, comment, specifically if you know someone who's lost somebody they love to COVID. Okay. Yeah. So my brother Tory um, went home to meet the Lord this past Christmas Eve due to COVID. And I need to say this so for people who are not used to grieving, and we're going to talk it through. I'm going to go slow today. I'm going to talk longer today. This is more for me than for you. How about that? Um, but part of the thing that when people grieve, and you may know this, you may not know this, but it's important to set the container so we're on the same page. People grieve in different ways. You know, some people grieve by crying. Some people grieve by going ghost. Some people grieve by cooking or eating. People grieve. Never judge a person or people by how they grieve. Never judge them how they cope. Okay? And part of the way that I grieve, how I cope, is I do my best to stay in terms of normalcy. Okay? So I do better when I keep my routines than if I let them go. Okay? So for people who grieve differently than I do, please do not judge me or come for me or try to help me. That's not, you don't have to do that. And I love you for wanting to. But here's my request as we walk through this conversation, okay? Hear me. Don't help me. Don't help me, okay? I don't need your help. I need your ear, okay? And know that I'm saying it in love. I'm not mad at anybody. I'm grieving. And that's a very specific experience, okay? So also, please, in your favor to help, please do not tell me what to do or not do. It's only going to piss me off. And I know your intentions are good, but I'm grieving. I can't hear anything, and I have zero capacity for compassion for you right now. Not because you're not a good person. I need you to understand the difference. But part of what I need to get you trained in, specifically if you've had someone who's transitioned or you know someone who's about to transition, or you have people that in your life that you love who are going through something like this, you got to get in their world. You got to get in their world. You got to get an understanding about how it is for them, not what's going to make you feel better. Okay? And I say this in complete love. Okay? And again, I encourage you, please share. Y'all want to get fed, but y'all want to share. This is one of those you share. There are people who are suffering in silence because they don't know. They feel like they're alone. And I get it. Okay? So please, sharing is caring. And it makes a difference. Okay? So I think I got it all in. How to the Hot Mess Millionaire Facebook group. Please join us. That's why I do my business. That's why I do my money stuff for the most part. Um, Share, tag, comment. Please do that. I appreciate the support. And please do not put a lot of condolences, all that. Don't do that. I know your intention is good, and I know I have to do a lot to set this up because it's the natural sort of things like condole. I, I'm thank you. take for granted I know that you say that you're sending me your sympathies, and my family knows that. We know that. Do not clutter this particular line up with that. I don't, not because it's not good, but because I want to talk to you about how the fuck do you cope with COVID when people you love die. That's what I'm talking about. Okay? There I have other posts where you can console me. That's fine. But I need you to get on my page. I need you to have a conversation with me. I don't need you to console me. I I'm clear. But for my sake, in terms of normalcy, let's just have a conversation. Okay? And perfectly you can honor that. Okay? So I've said my piece, I've made my request, I've set the container. Let's talk about coping. Okay? So I have a series of resources, and they're intentional resources. Yeah, I know, I'm a doctor. I'm by nature a philosopher. I can't help but think through stuff. I process, I write, I think, I pray, right? And so for those of you who are going through some kind of grief, specifically if it is COVID related, I put together some really beautiful, beautiful resources, and I'm going to read them out loud so you have them just in case you don't read it. They're here, but I want you to hear them because they're very sourceful. Some of these resources I've used with clients. Some of them I've used with me. Some of them just cool as hell. But the first one is, and I love this chick. Her name is Elisabeth Kübler-Ross. She has a book called On Grieving, on Grief and Grieving, finding the meaning of grief through the 5 stages of loss. This is a big deal. And she also has another book that I have a little later. It's called it's gorgeous, On Death and Dying. What the Death Have to Teach Doctors, Nurses, Clergy, and Their Own Families by Elisabeth Kübler-Ross. She is the foremost authority on grief and dying. Okay? And I encourage you, if you can, read a page or two when you can. Just read a page or two. Okay? You don't have to try to do anything, but it all helps. And I also included a book called Finding Meaning, The Sixth Stage of Grief by David Kessler. He wrote with Dr. Kübler-Ross, and it's a good thing. And his thing's about purpose and meaning. How do you turn this into something beautiful? And I received that. The fourth resource I have is called It's Okay That You're Not Okay. And this is a good one. Meeting grief and loss in a culture that doesn't understand. It's a beautiful read. Check up on it. It's soft. It's real soft. Okay. The fifth one is Grief One Day at a Time. 365 meditations to help you heal after loss. I love this. I love the shortness of it. I love the quotes. I love the little direction. It's easy to digest. It's not too thick, you know? And then I just put one thing in there, and this is just because it's important to note. And I'll talk about it a little bit more about Tory in a minute. Is COVID-19 may have arrived in the U.S. by December 2019. Okay? Let me put this in before I go in. Let me say this. One of the things that happens, let me do it like this. One of the things that happens in the grieving and dying stages, there are 5 stages that Elisabeth Kübler-Ross created: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. Okay. One of the things I have to contend with, I have to contend with a number of different things, but one thing I really have to contend with is wanting to blame somebody or something, right? And of course, I went to the obvious, suspects. And I was praying on it, and I was like, okay, God, I got some things to say. But then COVID-19 could have been in the U.S. before January. So I can't really blame Trump. And I'm just being honest. I tried. Rest assured. I was like, what? Ooh, right? And God said, no. And then the article came up. I'm like, okay, fine, Jesus, fine. Okay. But when you look at the 5 stages, there's denial. And we went through all of them. We still, I'll go back and forth, right? But denial, anger, bargaining. And I remember I wrote a prayer to God about Tory, because I don't pray to God for things anymore. I've matured in my walk to know that God always takes care of me. So, but I was bargaining. I was like, God, look, I know I'm not supposed to ask you for nothing, but I'm knocking, I'm seeking, It's a bargaining chip, right? So I can see that. And so I just need you to understand that there are stages to grieving that don't look like grieving. Not everybody cries. Some people don't eat. Some people go internal, right? And so I want to make sure you are sensitive to that versus you feeling uncomfortable with the loss of someone else. And I know it comes from love, but one of the things that I find that is very, very sourceful is just listening, being there, you know. Um, I want to talk to you about three different terms before I deep dive into Tory, but there's a difference between grief, mourning, and suffering. Okay? Grief is a deep and poignant distress caused by or as if by bereavement. I can't even say the word, God help. Bereavement, his gift over his son's loss, death. Okay? So it's a deep and poignant distress. Mourn is to feel or express grief or sorrow when he dies. So, and then suffering is to submit to or be forced to endure. So I'm grieving. And one more, I gotta say this before I say that. Grieving is internal, okay? Mourning is external. So when you see people who some of people we keen, we rock and we beat, right? That's mourning. Grieving is an internal state. Some people cry, some people I don't know, do what I do. But I want to make sure I give you some language so you can be appropriate with the people that you love as they go through, including yourself. Okay? So I want to lay all those things out before I talk to you about the different things that have to do with Tory. Now, I'm not going to talk about him directly. Okay? I don't have the capacity to do that. Okay? But I can talk about how do I cope? And preferably it'll support you in your coping, right? Now, I should have looked up cope so I know that coping is what coping is, but it's how do you manage yourself? How do you deal with life in order to stay alive, right? And so there are a couple of things that I do that help me cope. I already mentioned one, which is normalcy. Eat dinner, eat breakfast, walk happy, do things that I normally do. And for the most part, I've been able to do that. Okay. What I'm not able to do right now is I'm not able to talk to people. I can't talk. My words won't work. He said, my mouth said, no, she's not doing that. And I love my body said, no, we're not doing that. I'm not talking. But I can send emojis. Okay. I can text. I'm good. I can respond, but I can't go back and forth. I'm too tender and people are sloppy. Not intentionally, just in their favor to feel better, they overstep. So if you reach for me and I do not call you back, it's not because I don't love you. It simply means I cannot talk. My words have left me. And that's just my thing. My throat chakra is like, right? But one of the ways I cope is by not insisting that I try to talk to people. Okay. So first note, you got to identify how you cope and make it okay. You got to identify how you cope and make it okay. If you like, me and Happy, we live in LA. My birth family lives in Baltimore. And I talked to my sister, and everyone's in Baltimore. Me and Happy, we're over here in California, right? And the only thing she said was, "I didn't want you to be alone." I called Nana. Nana's great. Nana listens. She's really great about that. Um, we talked about me going, but now they're doing my it, now the process because of COVID is curbside burials or cremation. You know what I'm saying? So waiting to get the information about Tory's process was probably the hardest part because you can't. I couldn't get on the plane. I couldn't call. I couldn't touch. I couldn't hug. There was nothing I can physically do because with COVID, everything is rooted in distance. Do you see? So even if I got on a plane to get to him, I can't get in the hospital. I can't get in. You see what I'm saying? And so, and then I always get nervous about I don't want to bring anything from from California to Baltimore, right? And so, but the thing that my baby sister was like, she said she didn't want me alone. I actually do better alone. I actually do better alone, and that's sometimes that's hard on people. It has been hard on people because they think I'm being snooty. Nope, I don't have the capacity to be with you and me at the same time. Okay. So part of the thing I need you to really start to contend with is how do you cope? What is your, and if you have to write it down so you'll know what you're dealing with, right? Um, and then I went through my stages, but I got mad is not the right word. I think it's more blamey. I got blamey. I got blamey at being poor, growing up poor, not having the right medical stuff which you need when you're young. Because it shows up, for me, it shows up in my periodontal disease. With Tory, it showed up in his weight. I got mad about my whole family in some way, shape, or form were all addicts. In some way, shape, or form, we're all addicts. And um, and that's a coping mechanism, by the way. Addiction is designed to make you feel better. That is the point of it. It's not a joyride. It's designed to make you feel better. And then I think through like addictions can be anything from clothes to sugar to sex. You know what I'm saying? And so I got a little frustrated with that. I got frustrated with a lot of things because it's the nature. That's how I grieve. Um, but then I had this whole thing, right? God, because if you've been with me for a minute, I know that me and God we got a thing. Me and God real hard in the paint, and we talk real hard, and we talk street talk, and I'm okay with that. And either you get down with me or you don't. But um, I was like, okay, God, you are my God, and you can do everything but fail. You are the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. You're omnipresent. You're everywhere all the time, right? And I'm like, okay, God, so I know you love me. I wouldn't be alive if you didn't. I need you to help me understand, what do you want from me? How am I supposed to trust you, right? Because we did everything right. We did the prayers, we did the touch and agreeing, we did the Bible verses, we did everything that believers, and y'all did too. My entire tribe sent up direct prayers. Do you understand? Like, and we're talking thousands of people. Do you understand? We're not just talking one. We are talking like a bona fide, okay, prayer warriors, where you at, right? And for 2 days, I waited. And I don't, for my people who are, faith based, is that whole feeling of Lazarus. They're like, look, can you come? Because if you come, my brother will still be alive. And they say it in the book, right? Just if you come, we know Lazarus will live. And Jesus took us down. I mean, he took 2, 3, 4 days. He took a minute, right? By the time he got there, His body had been buried, and he smelled, the body had started to decay. And so me and God had a conversation, and that is what we do, because I talk to my God. And it actually was kind of good. It wasn't harsh. We didn't I didn't he never God is really good with me. He doesn't trip, like, because the way God and I roll, he's like, look, you made in my image. If you have a temper, you got it honest. If you got an edge on you, you got it from your daddy. You know what I'm saying? So we're good. But I was like, okay, God, you took Tory. God, like, yeah, I did. I'm like, all right, you want to help me understand this? And God, being God, said, well, is this a God thing, y'all? He said, do you trust me? I'm like, God, you know I trust you. You know that. My life demonstrates I trust you. He says, I know you trust me, but I need you to remember that you trust me when you don't agree with me, right? And I realized something, and it's a faith thing. It's an emotional maturity, spiritual evolved thing, which is this: I cannot trust God with my dreams and not trust Him with the people I love. That's that's oppositional. Either I'm going to trust God or I'm not. Okay. And I found, and this is the thing I want to make sure I communicate. Maybe I won't talk that long. Maybe I'll say my piece. This is what I found that was very helpful, and I want to hopefully to help you or make a difference or help somebody you love. When I took on really this surrendering to and trusting God, that's when I got peaceful. It's a very interesting thing about faith that trust, if you take on trusting God, a rhetorical F, but taking on trusting God means that you don't worry about things that are beyond your control. That doesn't mean I don't grieve. Doesn't mean I don't mourn. I'm not going to suffer because I know the difference. But if I truly trust God, then I really am giving everything over to God that is beyond anything I can do anything about. And that is a surrendering. That is me letting go of my pride, my ego, my looking good, my wanting to be important. It's a very interesting process because all of those things have to fall away to trust. There's nothing in my willpower that could have kept Tory alive. God said it was time to bring this boy home, and that's how God does. It has nothing to do with me. And I was thinking about David praying 3 days and 3 nights over his baby boy. When him and Bathsheba had the baby, he did some foul shit to get her, but he prayed 3 days and 3 nights. He got on his knees. He ripped his clothes. He did. Talk about some keening. He did his right, and God still took the baby. He still took the baby. That was a hard one. And I'm like, God, you still took the baby. The baby was innocent in my mind. God said, I understand that. I know. But my name is God, and I do what I say. And I really do get that, right? And I think that's what makes God so useful is God's consistent. God don't change. I have opinions and preferences about what I want and what I think should be. And my view is just small. I don't have a big enough view to see how it all turns out. I look at different things that happened in my life that were really, really, really not good. And at the time, they were crushing. Decades later, those same things that were crushing have turned into cathedrals. You know what I'm saying? They've turned into something beautiful that I could not have seen at the crushing, right? So I don't get to judge God. I don't get to do that. I get to grieve. Okay? And I grieve by making sense of life. And I mourn alone. And I'll probably write something because I'm a writer, because I can. I'm better, ironically, I'm better at expressing myself when I write than when I talk. When I talk, I can hear a bunch of other people coming out of my mouth. I can hear the philosophers, the books, the principles, the ideas. I can hear the authors. I can hear the magazines. I can hear the people. I can feel them all falling out of my face, right? But I'm most myself when I dance, and I miss dancing. But I'm most honest when I write. That's when I'm most myself, right? So I will write, and more than likely I'll probably share my private page first. If I do, I don't know. I'm not clear enough to make that call, but I do thank God for my family, all my families. I have my bloodline family, my adopted family, my social media family, my professional family. I thank God for my families. I mean, I'm held. A lot of people don't get to be held, but I am held. I thank God for my clients. They're great. They don't. It's. I need normalcy, so they help me. Just stay focused and not spiral. I have a therapist. Couldn't talk to her today. Can't talk yet. I can't talk yet. This is nice because this is just tax. This is a broadcast, right? But I couldn't deal with questions. I couldn't deal with her asking me how I feel. I hate that question. It is the most unfair question to ask somebody because when you say, how do you feel? You're now forcing me to look. You're forcing me to contend with feeling. And right now, I'm pretty good numb. I'm pretty good. I ain't fucking nobody. I ain't drinking no bullshit. I'm not, for all intents and purposes, this is a very healthy grieving process. Okay. And so, but I couldn't talk to her. I didn't have the wherewithal. So I'm not. So I'm not going to try to make myself talk to my therapist. I'm not going to make myself actually, so I want silly. But right now I want pizza and hot wings and a Coke. I don't even know why I want that. But I'm going to order Domino's pizza with mushrooms, banana peppers, and chicken. And I'm going to get hot wings. And I don't know why this matters. I don't know, but it comforts me. Okay. And I'm gonna write. I'm gonna cuddle with my puppy and thank God for peace. You know, I go in and out, and I've gotten good about being okay with going in and out, and I'm not suppressing myself. So I don't want y'all to feel that. I don't want you to worry about me. I'm grieving, but I'm just it's so funny when Tory transitioned. I don't know. It's just this is just sharing. It got nothing to do with reality, just how it is for me. But I um I washed my hair. I groomed myself. I baptized myself. I cleaned up. I did basic stuff, right? And it made me feel better. It always makes me feel better. And so I know some people have reached out to send me things. I can't see clear enough now to even. I can't even. I can't see clearly. And here's the thing. I need to say this so that people who don't understand will understand. Some people like myself who grieve, we have two things. We have delayed reactions, and our grieving doesn't look like we're grieving. It looks like we're suppressing. That's not necessarily the case. It just comes out when it does. I I wish I were the kind of human being who could, I don't know, just lay it all out like that. It doesn't work like that for me. I'm not wired like that. But I will say this about Tory, and then I will surrender the mic. Okay. He was a great brother. He's a father, a son, a nephew, an uncle, a grandfather, a friend, a provider, a protector, funny, brilliant, strong willed like all of us are, entrepreneurial like all of us are, loving and kind. I'm part of the challenge of leaving home is, God, did I leave anybody behind? You know, was I a good sister? Did I help? Did I leave things better than I found them, right? I've helped a lot of strangers. I mean, a lot of people, right? But oh God, did I help? Did I help Tory? Did I make it? Did I help him? God's like, B, he didn't need your help. He needed your love, and you loved him. And it makes me feel better because I tend to suffer over things that are incomplete. It's just part of my PTSD thing, but he was fun, and I am so thankful that he allowed me to interview him. So he's in episode 5 of Hot Mess Millionaire, and he is hilarious, right? But he's immortal now, and I thank God that I was able to do that. So when his grandchildren look up, they can go look at him and catch some of his spirit. You know what I'm saying? So I can be at peace with that. I'm not going to spend my energy being angry because I trust God. If God wanted something different, it would be different. And I don't get to doubt God. I get to trust God. And that's just my peace. That's my peace. So I don't have to suffer. I don't have to blame. I don't have to blame the circumstances. And to be fair, COVID-19 does strike people of color very hard. Okay? So we are vulnerable for a multitude of reasons, from access to precautions to masks to ventilators. It's true. It's not hyperbole. It is the truth. We are vulnerable. And so I believe that part of coping is preparation. And I encourage you to take it serious. Okay? So I think that's all I'm going to say today. I think I'm going to surrender the mic. Thanks for sitting with me. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for supporting me. I may reach out to my Hot Mess Millionaire group just to read some things just for the company. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like it's a safe space. I won't have to deal with a lot of questions. Yeah. I'm trying to see if there's anything else, God. Okay. For all of the other family members who have lost someone to COVID-19, know that I understand. It's a very different kind of process. So know that you're loved and you're not alone. I think that sometimes we forget about the families that are left behind, the empty chairs and the empty tables. So for all of us who have lost someone through COVID, I can't feel what you feel, but I can understand. Okay? So please know that you're not alone. Okay? And for all the people who are supporting us who haven't lost someone to COVID, thank you. Thank you for caring, especially in social distance. I think that not being able to hug somebody is heartbreaking, and not being able to be by someone you love when they're transitioning. You can't go into the hospital. His wife couldn't get in. His daughter couldn't get in. We could look through the window, through the glass, right? But we couldn't go in the room. So they don't get to have that. You know what I'm saying? So it's its own thing, right? Um, and again, death is always what it is. Um, but this is a not being able to do the rituals that we normally do is a whole nother level of coping. Okay, so please be kind to you. Be gentle with each other. I know you are. This is just me comforting me. Okay, but but that's it for now. I love you, sis. I love you, bro. Thank you for hearing my word. Thank you for sitting with me. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for commenting. I love you, and I deeply appreciate you for loving me. Okay, so this is Dr. Venus, your hot mess millionaire, and please remember this, my sweet sister in success, and the brothers who love us, and our allies. You're worth so much more than you have ever been taught to believe. I love you, and goodbye for now.